Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Pursuing Profits with Principles. I'm your host, Regina Partain-Bergman, and so delighted to be with you on this holiday morning here in the States at any rate. But I appreciate those of you who are dedicated to your success and joining me this morning to learn a little bit more about how to be more successful in your business. Today, I want to focus on an area that I find particularly impactful and important for all businesses to focus on, not just small businesses, but all businesses. Now, many of you are familiar with the Pareto principle, or otherwise known as the 80-20 rule. In business, it's an incredible growth tool. If you can figure out what that 20% of your time is that produces 80% of your business results, you can spend more time on those activities and less time on other activities that aren't producing us the great results. It has other applications within the business world as well, and we're going to focus on some of that a little bit later. But for today's show, I really want to focus on the 20% of things that you, as a business owner, should be focused on to generate 80% of the revenue in your business. So are you ready? Here we go. Let's dive in. There are 5 areas that you need to spend at least 20% of your time on. And those 5 areas will generate 80% of your revenue. They are generating leads, converting those leads into clients, your average sale value, the number of transactions, and your profit margins. That's it. Spending 20% of your time in those 5 areas will generate 80% of your revenue if you know and apply the right things to do with that 20% of your time. So let's first take a look at what it takes to generate more revenue. We actually have a revenue equation that I want to walk you through, and I'll show you some slides here in just a moment on that. We'll do some practical application. But once you've generated leads and converted those leads into clients, those clients will be paying you a specific value for what you sell. So sale value is the first component in our revenue equation. And after that, you have expenses to pay, or at least I do, so I assume you do as well. And those expenses will come directly out of that revenue. So the next revenue component to consider is your margin. How much of that revenue do you actually get to put in your pocket? But still, you aren't finished yet. If that client only buys from you once, you now have to go generate new leads and convert them into clients. What if instead you could compel your clients to increase the number of transactions they complete with you each year without being salesy or pushy? The 5 steps that I mentioned previously, leads, conversions, average sale value, number of transactions, and profit margins, are critical steps that every small business owner must address in order to attract new clients and generate more revenue. Now, let me back this up with some specific numbers to show you how this works. In order to double your profits and create exponential growth, you have to start with a baseline. You have to know your current numbers in each of these critical areas. So the first thing you have to do is figure that out. What are your numbers in these areas right now? Once you have them, you can work out what you need to do to double those profits and make sure you spend your time doing what you need to be doing. Now, assuming you have the proper strategies and tactics to apply, let me share with you some of the results that you could expect if you just made small incremental improvements in these 5 areas. Let's see what that would look like. Let me bring up a screen here where we can put in some numbers. Here we go. All right. Whoops. Let's see. Not seeing it. Okay. There we go. Now we have it in there. All right, so we are going to take a look at these 5 areas and see how we can improve them, doing some minor adjustments, just minor adjustments. But remember what I said, first we have to have a baseline, right? So what I want to do is plug in some hypothetical numbers for you. So let's assume that you have 1,000 leads a year. Okay, so we're going to put that in there. And that you convert into a client 25% of your leads. So that means for every 4 people that you sit down and talk with or you get in front of, one of them becomes a client, right? So we're going to put 25% in here, if my fingers can type correctly. Now that we have that 25%, what we need to do is multiply our leads times our conversion rate, right? Some basic math, we come up with 250 customers. Make sense so far, right? Now let's assume that each customer buys from us 10 times a year at an average price of $100. That's going to give us a total revenue of 250,000. Whoops, let's get that in the right square. $250,000. Hang on one second here. $250,000 in total revenue. Not too shabby, but how much of that are we going to get to put into our pocket? So let's assume that we also have a 25% profit margin. And we'll put that in there. Okay, 25%, which gives us a bottom line profit. Are you ready? Of $62,500. Not too bad. It could be better, right? But it's not too bad. Okay, so now let's take a look at if we were to make small incremental improvements in that. And I want to look at just a 10% improvement. Okay, so we're going to have 10% here. And we're going to multiply each of these numbers by 10%. So our 1,000 leads becomes 1,100 leads, right? Our 25% becomes 27.5%. And for some reason, I keep hitting my percent sign double there. Okay, now here's where it gets fun, folks. We start to get exponential growth. So if we had 250 clients previously, and we said that we were improving them by 10%, 10% would give us 275, right? But because we're improving 2 different areas by 10%, we now have 302 clients, not 275. And if we improve the number of transactions by 10% and the price by 10%, we get 11 transactions and we get a dollar value of 110. Now let's look at what that did based on this exponential growth, right? We have total revenue now of $365,420. Again, that is considerably more than 10% of our 250,000, right? So let's increase our net profit margin by the same amount that we improved everything else, which is 10%. Are you ready? Give me a little drum roll here of our new total is $100,490. Now, we didn't quite double it, but we came pretty close, didn't we? In terms of, we started off with a net profit of 62.5. We made a small incremental improvement of 10% in 5 areas, and we almost doubled our profit, our net profit. That's pretty powerful, don't you think? I think it is. I think it's extremely powerful. So how many of you think that you could improve in those 5 areas by 10%? That really is child's play when you know the right strategies and tactics. So I want us to play in a little bit higher ball game here. I want us to play at the 50% level for a moment and see what that would look like if we made a 50% improvement in each of these areas. Because it really is easy And I'm going to show you a case study here in just a moment to show you how easy it is to do that. But let's look at if we increased each of these areas by 50%, and then we'll do the case study. So now we're doing 50% of our baseline, not of our 10% number, but 50% of our baseline. So our new number here is 1,500 now, the 1,500 leads. We're now converting them at 37.5%. And that gives us a whopping, are you ready for this? 562 clients now, instead of our 250 that we started with. If we improve our number of transactions by 50%, we're now at 15 transactions, and our price has gone to $150. Okay, now I need a bigger drum roll because this number is amazing. I can't wait for you to see this number. Are you ready? It starts with 1,265,625 in total revenue by making a 50% improvement in the 5 areas that you need to be working on in your business. Now we need to increase our net profit by 37.5% as well. And so we are now at, are you ready? Here's your drum roll. $474,609 in net profit. How many of you would love to go from $62,500 in net profit to $474,000 in net profit? I mean, we're just shy of $500,000 here. We went from less than 100,000 to just shy of $500,000. That's pretty phenomenal, don't you think? I think it is. And I think it's amazing what you can do with small incremental changes in what you're doing. So let's go on. Let's see what else we can do here. Okay. So let's dive into, first of all, just how you can increase your leads just a little bit. So here's some fundamentals of marketing that every business owner must know and follow. And many of you have heard this before. And 3 little elements here. Have something good to say it well, say it often. That's the foundation of good marketing. And then the next step is to figure out how you are unique in the marketplace. What position can you stand on that gives you a strong advantage over your competition? How will you communicate so effectively that you literally force more customers to do business with you? This becomes the basis for all of your marketing and selling strategies and tactics. And it's what we build our foundation on. And I guarantee you, it is the hardest work that you'll do in your business, but the most useful. Okay. So it is super important. And we call it creating your market dominating position, how you stand out in the market. It's critically important that you not look like everybody else. You see, we have a tendency to think that people buy based on price. But the truth is, people want to buy based on value. But if they can't see any difference in the value you provide and the value your competition provides, they're going to shop on price because that's the only option you've left them. So you must do the hard work up front and focus on how you are different. How do you stand out in the marketplace? So I'm going to show you again a case study in just a moment that will help you with some ideas on that. But a couple of secrets I want to share with you first. The first one is about getting the leads, and the second one is about converting them. Remember, those are our first 2 elements in the 5. So one of the keys to generating leads is to focus on your primary area of strength. Do you like to talk on the phone? Do you enjoy presenting at live events, at webinars or seminars? Do you prefer social media? Are you more comfortable attending networking events? If you can get into that area that is your comfort zone, you will have greater success and struggle less. Now, the second one, the secret to converting more of those leads after you've gotten them is to create a compelling offer. So, I want to talk to you about two things before I dive into the case study. But let me share my screen with you again. Let's see here, share screen. Give me a second here. This takes just a moment to get it in place. Here we go. All right. Let's see and add that in. Here we go. So I want to talk about the buyer's journey for just a moment. At any given moment, only about 1 to 4% of your ideal clients are ready to purchase from you. The others are either they haven't even figured out this is something they want or need, or they are still in the process of gathering information to make the decision on whether they should buy it and who they should buy it from. And we call that the buyer's journey. And there are three stops along the way here. They're at the very beginning. It's like they're a future buyer. Why should I buy this? They're just beginning to gather information. And then they move along this information journey and they hit a place where they're kind of a soon to be buyer. They now know that, hey, this is something I'm interested, so why shouldn't I buy it? And then as they continue to move along the journey, they get to that place of who should I buy it from? Now, the key to all of this is that you must be supplying them information. Information is what they're looking for. And if you provide that information in a timely and convenient way for them, then you become that logical choice down here when they get to vendor selection. That's you that they're looking at, okay? That's you that they will buy from because you've given them all the information along the way that they need in order to do that. So, I want to share with you one other thing. Sorry, just clearing something off my screen there. I want to share with you one other thing, and that is what we call the conversion equation. Now, the conversion equation is a four-step process that you should apply to all of your marketing. It doesn't matter the medium. This should be applied to all of your marketing. If you do so, you will find your marketing to be so much more powerful than it is now. So there are four steps, and they revolve around a two-part conversation that's going on in the head of your ideal client. And that conversation is that I have a problem I don't want. I need a solution that I don't have. So you want to be the person identifying with them on the problem that they have, helping them understand that you get it, and two, offering the solution that they're looking for. So in any of your marketing, we start off with the problem, and we call that our interrupt. The interrupt is your headline of anything that you're doing, and it should point attention to the problem that they have that they don't want. I'll give you an example in just a moment. So we get to that interrupt. The next thing is that we want to engage them. Now, remember that we as a society today, because of the way we communicate so much electronically, our attention span has dropped dramatically. And it's down around 3 to 7 seconds, somewhere in there, probably. So your headline has to be so precise and critical that it grabs their attention within a couple of seconds. If you do that well, they'll give you a couple more seconds to see if you have the solution that they're looking for. So your subheadline addresses the solution that you offer. Make sense? Awesome. So we want to make sure that we are interrupting them and then engaging them. And coming back to that interrupt, it takes a lot to interrupt someone these days. We scroll through life. How many of you actually look at everything that comes across your email? Look at everything that comes through your social media platforms, Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram, whatever. We don't. We just scroll through it. And if something grabs our attention, then we stop and take a look at that. So if I have this problem that I don't want, and your headline focuses on my problem, you've interrupted me in my scroll, and I'm going to stop to see if you have a solution for me. So your headline better tell me pretty quickly that you have that solution. Okay? So now we're going to go into our case study. So I want to share with you about a child psychologist. And you can see here what his website looked like before we worked with him on this. Typical website. His logo is up here at the top and a picture up here at the top. And folks, I want to tell you, this is prime real estate and should not be where your logo and a picture are. This should be your interrupting headline up here. And then we see he has all of these tabs. Now, this is a website. This allows you to walk around in here and take a look at a lot of things. The problem is that when people get in there, they sometimes forget why they came. They forget to look at your offer. They don't take action. Websites typically do not convert well. So we're going to talk later in this series about landing pages versus websites, or squeeze pages versus websites. Don't have to worry about that today. I'm going to show you a quick example, but we are going to talk about that later on. So here he has his headline, Parenting Advice and Resources from Dr. John Smith. We have his picture. He's got a little video here and a little message that says, I want to welcome you to Remarkable Parenting. You'll find tons of great information here with hundreds of pages of articles. And then he gives us 9 different areas that he specializes in, and he offers a free consultation. 30 minutes, just pick up the phone and call me. Now, I want to stop the screen share for a moment and just visit about that for a moment. So remember the conversion equation I told you about? Also remember that people want to do business with experts, not those who are just the same as everyone else. And when you educate people, you are perceived to be an expert. Expert positioning leads to trust, and trust leads to increased sales. Now, on the doctor's page, and I'll show that to you again in a moment, he had all these vague and non-compelling language that he was using, saying things like, we offer parenting advice and resources. We can help get your child under control. Learn the secrets of well-behaved children. Or look through our hundreds of pages of resources. Now, let me ask you, if you were the parent of an out of control, completely belligerent child struggling to find some way, any way to get your child under control, would you really want to spend some time reading hundreds of pages of resources about different topics that may or may not apply to your situation? The fact is, parents like these don't normally start searching for solutions when they've reached the end of their rope and they're desperate. There's a process they go through where they start to gather information as they watch their children increasingly misbehave. All right, so let me share my screen again. I want you to see the changes that we made in this marketing. So let's see, one more click, and we should be there. Well, there we go. Awesome. So here is our landing page or squeeze page. There is a slight difference, and we can talk about that later. But for now, just know that this is not a website. Remember I showed you the navigation bar that was on the other one and how he had his picture up here, I mean his logo and a picture. Those are gone now. Now we have our interrupting headline. Are you sick and tired of the yelling, screaming, and belligerent attitude of your child? Man, if I've got that problem, that's going to stop me in my tracks, right? I'm not going to scroll past that. Then my subheadline. Now you can discover the secrets to controlling your child and instantly restore peace and quiet in your home. Okay, now you've really got my attention. I want to know more. So we redid his message here. I'll share that with you in a moment. But here's his offer now. Learn the secrets to gaining and maintaining complete control of your child in less than 60 seconds. Enter your first name and your email address. Over here, we have a representative picture. And down here at the very bottom, we have our logo. because that really is the least important thing on the page, isn't it? Yes, branding is important, don't get me wrong, but this is the least important thing on the page is this logo. The message is what's most important. Okay, here's the doctor's new message. As a parent, are you struggling to gain control over your child's attitude and emotions? Is your child yelling and screaming at you while often displaying a belligerent and sometimes threatening tone that no matter what you do or try, you just can't seem to get under control? Now he starts to talk about himself. My name is Dr. John Smith, and I help parents like you every day learn the techniques that will solve these frustrating and destructive behavioral patterns once and for all. In fact, let me prove it to you. Starting to build trust, right? Enter your first name and email in the box to the right, and I'll send you a series of 60-second techniques that will immediately restore peace and quiet in your home. Very different from before, where he said, I have hundreds of pages of information to provide to you. That's not what we want, right? That is not at all what we want. Okay, so moving on. In that script, the very last thing, his last sentence, the fourth component is the fourth component of the conversion equation. It was a compelling and irresistible offer. Every connection should contain a risk-lowering offer to encourage the prospect to take the next step. And that offer should be to receive additional information. Remember, that's what they're looking for until they get to the place that they're ready to buy. Or in this case, to experience the doctor's expertise yourself so he can prove his methods work. Your offer gives you the opportunity to provide additional education information to the 99% that are information gathering mode. And in the process, capture valuable information about who these people are so that you can proactively market to them in an ongoing basis. And this allows you to take total control of your target market. So let's see what happened with the doctor when he implemented this. I'll share my screen with you again. And let's go here and here. Okay, and one more button to click. Oops, there we go. All right, so the doctor, prior to implementing this campaign, was averaging about 300 leads per month. And 30 of those, on average, or 10%, were calling to ask about the consultation. And he was converting about 3 of those, or 10%, into the consultation. All 3 of those became new clients. So he was getting 3 new clients a month, right? Now, here we have his post results with this. He doubled the number of people requesting the offer. He went from 10% to 20%. His average was 10% still, or 6 people consenting to the offer. 6 new patients instead of 3. At an average sale value of $800, this was a $2,400 a month increase for him, or an average of almost $30,000 in annual revenue increase. Powerful, right? So remember, when we talked over here, I want to share this screen with you again. Bring this one back in. Share screen. And share screen. Okay. We talked here about having a 10 or a 50% increase. The doctor had a 100% increase. He doubled with doing just one thing, just changing his messaging on his marketing. Just changing the messaging. He doubled. He followed the conversion equation. And like you, when you follow it, his business grew by leaps and bounds. You'll be far ahead of where you are now if you can do that. If you can follow the conversion equation, figure out how you're unique in the market, know your numbers that we've talked about here. How many leads are you getting? What's your conversion rate? What's your pricing? How many times do they buy from you every year? What's your profit margin? All of that. You need all of those numbers to plug into this form. And then you'll know what you can do. You can run this 10% out, this 50% out, and see how that works for you. So I hope if you have any questions that you'll reach out to me. We're happy to answer comments, to address questions here. Love to have you input those as you're watching this. And as we go forward in the weeks to come, we're going to cover much more of this in detail so that you'll know how to improve your marketing to make it super powerful, super powerful. So, which would you rather have? A profit of $62,500 or a profit somewhere near $500,000 or more by implementing this process of spending 20% of your time on these 5 areas? You can see, going back to what we said at the very beginning, this can generate 80% of the revenue in your business if you'll just spend 20% of your time in these 5 areas. I know you can do it. Follow the conversion equation, identify who your ideal client is, have your marketing message strong. You know what you're going to say, how you're going to say it, where you're going to say it, and you're going to say it often, right? And then I would love to hear how it's going for you. So with that, I'll close out here today and say, please join me next Monday to learn more about how you can pursue profit with principles. Bye for now.
Haiti borders with the Dominican.
Her name is Serena Buffalino. They call her Mrs. B, and her class always begins with a pledge.
Something local, something global. Haiti.
They're words that carry weight here. Helping yourself means helping others, giving back, here and a world away in Haiti.
And nobody's helping them, except for people like us.
It was through her the class learned of Haiti, of the nearly 1 million orphans, many with no school, no support, no Mrs. B in their lives.
They could not wrap their head around that.
Mrs. B's students are among Toronto's most at risk. Their challenges vary from emotional and behavioral difficulties to learning disabilities. Their trauma so severe they can't function in a regular school setting, and we aren't allowed to show most of their classmates.
For most of the kids, most of society has turned them away. And in this classroom, they're accepted. They're accepted no matter what for who they are.
Take Yolanda. She came here last year so burdened and withdrawn, she would often fall silent, sometimes for days on end. It was, she says, Mrs. B's patience, her quiet encouragement, that saved her.
She actually saves people's lives from dangers.
And perhaps that's why these marginalized kids feel such a kinship with the orphans of Haiti and why they were moved to act.
And so when Yolanda and Jackie and Patrick said, well, Miss B, we need to build them a school.
Build a school. No easy task. They started out raising money. They sold samosas, washed cars, screened movies, you name it. And in just a few months, this little class raised $20,000. So much, it's not just a one-room schoolhouse they can build, but a full 3-story school. And so Mrs. B set off on a journey she'd dreamed of, up into the dusty mountains above Port-au-Prince to a town called Canaan. It's home to thousands of earthquake refugees who live with no running water, no electricity, and no school until now. The first step was a temporary school. It's up and running. 53 students already in uniform. The permanent school for 250 is growing from its foundations.
It makes me want to cry because she just makes me feel so awed, and I'm very proud of her.
All of this because of a handful of students back in Canada and Mrs. B, the teacher who believed in them.
These are for you.
At another fundraiser, a special tribute to the students, accepted by someone who, without Mrs. B, might not be here.
They believe in me and I believe in them, and together we not only change our lives, but we change the world around us.
For inspiring great things and seeing the potential in everyone, Serena Buffalino is this week's Everyday Hero.
This is the reason why I do what I do, is because of Yolanda and all the...
International speaker, youth advocate, professional development coach and published author who grew up in the inner cities of Baltimore and Jacksonville in the United States. In the USA, Rodney is regarded as one of the nation's top leaders in unlocking human potential and inspiring organizations to greatness. He's delivered speeches all over the globe and is poised to disrupt the status quo in leadership and organizational development. It is my distinct honor to introduce you to Rodney C. Burris.
With Barbara Beckley and the Diamond Factor experience. I think that being a part of this phenomenal show and what we offer is one of the top things. So my name is Rodney C. Burris, and our segment is Realize, Reflect, and Remember Who You Are. And what we mean by that is this. Most of the time, the things that we're going to cover in our sessions are not necessarily brand new, right? They're not things that we've never heard of ever. It's not concepts that we haven't been exposed to from different mentors, from different philosophies or practice or belief systems. But a lot of times we know it, but we forget it. You ever been in a situation where you're trying to remember the lyrics to a song, right? So you're trying to remember the lyrics to the song and it's like, it's on the tip of my tongue. It's not that you never knew it. Is that I'm trying to grab it and apply it, right? And so knowledge is one thing, but the proper application of knowledge is wisdom, right? And being able to access that knowledge to apply it is understanding. I know where it is. I understand how it relates to this situation. So it's the knowledge, is understanding it, given the context, given the time, given the people, given the situation, because in this scenario, I may be this type of person, but because of these things, I actually may need to adjust. That's understanding. And when I put it into practice, we're walking in wisdom. Does that make sense? And so in order to tap into that, to make our weeks great, to make our days great, to level up in how we experience life, right? There was a phrase that we used to throw around a lot in the nonprofit human services world, and it's called quality of life. Like, how do I improve my quality of life? There's a lyric by an artist. There were two artists, and they had this song called Moment for Life. And at the end of the song, the guy says, I'm trying to make this moment more than what it is, because everybody dies, but not everybody lives. Everybody dies, but not everybody lives, right? In order to level up in how we experience life, we want to improve our quality of life. That comes through the proper application of what we learn, knowledge, understanding it. That means working with it. That means picking it apart. That means not just kind of spitting out facts, right? That's why we don't really do a whole bunch of like, here are the 10 steps to, you got to know the 10 steps or the 5 steps or the 3 steps or the, you got to know those because that's the foundation. But if we get that knowledge, but we don't get understanding, we are not able to properly use it in our lives. We can't level up our quality of life. And at the end of the day, we can't remember who we are. One more analogy before I get into it, because we're going to be talking about intentionality today, right? Sunshine, soil, dirt, rain falls the same, impacts the same, shines the same on an aluminum can that once had soda in it and on an acorn. But only one of those will produce an oak tree. So what that oak tree eventually becomes, being originally housed in the acorn, is not actually because of the sun. Because if it was just the sun, the aluminum can would be a big tree, right? Just give it 10, 15 years. That's going to be a beautiful tree. It don't work like that. The acorn already had on the inside everything that it took to become. And what I'm sharing with us today is that we already have what it takes to become. We already got it. We already got it. The relationships help. Enjoying examples like this, being a part of the Diamond Factor experience. These sort of things helps us in our leveling up. It helps us in our proper application of what we're consistently learning, right? But if it wasn't in us, it couldn't come out. It couldn't birth forth. So when we say realize, reflect, and remember, that's literally what we're doing. It's like, hold up. If I just take a moment and I realize, and then I think about it, reflect, and then I remember. That's right. I know who I am. I know why I'm here. I know what I'm supposed to be doing. Deep down, we know. Deep down, you know what you're supposed to be doing in life, who you are or aren't supposed to be dating, what you're supposed to, listen, I'm going to give you an example. Last night, I was real hungry, right? I was real hungry last night. And I was going to whip myself up some eggs. I know it's a breakfast food. It is what it is, right? I was going to make me some scrambled eggs last night, right? So I pulled out the car and I had a little thing of apple juice. You know, I was getting myself together. And because I felt so hungry, I not only was going to make some eggs, but I had something else. I forgot exactly what it was. It was some other thing that I had. But I was about to make me, and I'm not going to tell y'all how many eggs I got because y'all going to start judging me. It's too early in the morning for y'all to be judging me like this, right? So I was pulling together my eggs. I had my little other stuff. I had my apple juice. And when I was about to start cracking my eggs, I felt that I shouldn't go more than 2. Now I was gonna go more than two. To just let y'all know. I wasn't two was like I wasn't even, but I already had other stuff. But to me, I was real hungry. Now, mind you, when I say last night, this was like a midnight snack. So I was already asleep. I woke up because I was hungry. We really get to spend some good time, right? So I woke up because I was hungry. I was making myself in the middle of the night, like this whole like little meal. But there was a part of me that was like, hey. Not don't eat, right? Not don't get the other stuff. Not don't have apple juice. It's just you don't need right now much more than two. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. In that moment, I'm like, first of all, I'm tripping. Let me go ahead and make my food. Because it wasn't a voice that I heard. It was a knowing. We know that knowing. It's called our gut instincts. It's called intuition. Some people refer to it as a still small voice. Some people refer to it as providence or being guided. The deal is that we all kind of know. Some people call it your subconscious or your psyche or your higher self. Listen, a rose by any other name is still a what? Call it what you want to call it, but it's subtle. And it's a notion and it's a knowing. It's not invasive. It's not intrusive. And guess what? It goes away. It goes away. Like, eventually it just leaves. And so what we need to do, what we have to do, is learn how to pause, realize, reflect, and remember that's not trying to hurt us. Because following that gut instinct, following your heart, following the still small voice, following the steps that's laid out for us as we're being guided, helps us walk into a newness that helps us improve our quality of life. Let me do a quick time check. Okay, I got a few more minutes. I'm going to share this and we get out of here. Okay, and then we'll loop back around and we'll do this again on Monday. All right. Okay, so there's something called intentionality. You're familiar with it, right? I'm reminding us of who we are. Okay, so intentionality frames our five senses: what we hear, what we taste, what we smell, what we touch, what we feel. It frames our senses to take in what we want to take in. Can I show you what I mean real quick? If you're in a position to do this, right? Take your left hand. If you can do this, take your left hand and cover your eyes. Boom. Cover your eyes. Right? Cover your eyes. Now, keep them covered. I'm going to ask you this. Think of something in the room that's orange. Keep your eyes closed. Keep your eyes covered. Anything. Think of at least 5 things in the room around you. 5, 4, 3. Okay, now, open your eyes. It's a good chance that you struggle to think of anything, one thing that was orange. Look around the room, see if you see anything orange. You see that? Wait. You see it? Look for something else. I guarantee you the phases went like this. There's nothing in this room. First of all, the first phase was like, what is this guy talking about, right? That's life. What in the world is this new thing? What is this about? The second thing is there's nothing in the room that's orange. What is this guy talking about? Third, okay, I think it was one. Open my eyes, look and scan and see. Told you it's nothing. Told you, oh, okay, that one thing, that's orange. Okay, that's orange. Okay, that other little thing is orange. And before you know it, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things, 7 things popping up. Boom, boom. That's orange, right? More than likely. Take your left hand, cover your eyes again. Cover your eyes. No cheating. Now, think of everything in the room that's green. 5, 4. Keep your eyes closed. 3. Think of the stuff. Think of it. Open your eyes. Point to the green thing. Point to the green stuff. Point. When you first covered it, more than if you're normal, your first reaction was like, there's nothing in here that's green. Oh my goodness. And then you opened your, you thought of one thing, and then you saw, oh, and then, oh yeah, that's right. Oh. And before you know it, there's multiple things that's green. What changed? Did those things all of a sudden pop into the room? Did the room birth a whole bunch of little orange, a whole bunch of little green lights just pop through all of a sudden? It's always been there. What changed? Our intentionality. Our intentionality tells our senses what to see in this world. So if by intention I believe Mondays are a bad day of the week, what am I telling trillions of cells to reproduce for me? A bad Monday. If when I talk to them, I'm already thinking, you know how they are, it's about to be horrible. What are we telling trillions of cells to recreate for us? A horrible interaction. Well, by the same design, if all of a sudden I believe that people are working together to create opportunities for me, for my benefit and for theirs, and I believe it and I say it and I say it and I believe it, what do we condition trillions of cells to perceive? Opportunity, abundant assistance, bridges and connection. That just all of a sudden just happened. They've been there. See, that's the part that we struggle with. It's hard to really believe that perhaps these people have always wanted to. The crazy thing is that they may have suggested, offered, tried, and we just were not in a position yet to receive it. So with that being said, I'm going to wrap up for today, and I'm going to leave us with this. There are things that we want that seem out of reach. And jumping from here to there is improbable. It doesn't make sense. I can't move into that new house. I can't leave this job and start this new job. I can't, whatever it is. But if we condition ourselves by stating that we're looking for it, the beginnings of the steps show themselves. One of the universal laws, I'm going to close with this, is that energy cannot be created nor destroyed, but is already ever present. It's already existing. What does that mean? Everything is a form of energy. Fast-moving energy, slow-moving energy, right? Ideas are energy. Emotions are energy. Things are energy. You know the way you can take water vapor and slow it down? The reason why water is vapor is because it's full of energy. That's why it looks steamy. When that energy slows down, slow, it becomes cold and hard. We call that what? We call that ice. So everything works like that. Think about water as a reflection of life, right? So if everything is some form of fast-moving, slow-moving, intangible, invisible energy, or very, very visible energy, the universal law says it already exists. It can't be created nor destroyed. It's already here. Every opportunity and every outcome that we already are talking about, every relationship connection, it's right here. We just have to take a moment, realize, reflect, and remember. My name is Rodney C. Burris. You can find me across social media at Rodney C. Burris, RodneyCBurris.com. Once again, very appreciative of Dr. Barbara Beckley, Oprah Winfrey, and the phenomenal work that she's doing in this world. Let's all stay connected. Reach out to me. I'll definitely respond. And I'll see you guys soon. Thank you.